There have been two central traditions in European gardening, each one associated with a great European nation. The first originated in 17th century France and became known as the Jardin à la Française, or formal French garden. The most sublime example of this school of gardening is to be found in the chateau of Vaux-le-Vicomte, which is about 50 kilometers southeast of Paris. It was laid out in the late 1650s by André Le Nôtre, the most important figure in the history of the French garden, and the son of the gardener of Louis XIII. The idea was to arrange everything around symmetry, flattening the existing natural landscape so as to create perfect arrangements of borders, flower beds, and reflecting pools. A grand perspective 1,500 meters long extended from the foot of the chateau to the end point, a statue of Hercules. The alleyways were decorated at regular intervals by statues, basins, fountains, and carefully sculpted topiaries. It was, in an extremely logical, precise, unyielding way, perfect. Another masterpiece of French gardening was then constructed at Versailles, also by André Le Nôtre. Here too there was astonishing symmetry and a will to bend the unruliness of nature to the designs of man. The French gardening tradition achieved enormous popularity and was widely copied in far more modest homes across Europe for a century at least. But the dominance eventually gave way to a new theory of gardening that developed in England in the 18th century and was known as the Jardin à l'Anglaise, or English garden. The central figure in this tradition was Capability Brown, a gardener of genius responsible for 170 gardens up and down the United Kingdom, including Petworth in West Sussex, Chatsworth in Derbyshire, Bowood in Wiltshire, and Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire. The Jardin à l'Anglaise couldn't have been more different from the Jardin à la Française. In the English tradition, everything was about working with rather than flattening natural features. The wildness of nature wasn't the enemy, it was the starting point, which the skilled English gardener would enhance and work with. A good English garden relished the raw impulses of nature. It was about accommodating and delighting in nature, even though this was nature that was tampered with, in order to get it to look just that bit more natural. The English garden usually included a lake, sweeps of gently rolling lawns, and groves of trees. The English tradition reigned supreme for a century at least. These are two historical traditions of gardening, but they are also, along the way, two modes of being. The French style is about a confident rationalism and willpower. This is how we might feel when we want to change the world through thought and planning. The English tradition is about accommodating ourselves to what already exists, bending with what is there, trying to make the most of what we've been given and to see its beauty and its charm. It looks like a battle, but ideally we need the two attitudes, the French and the English, in our lives in order to call upon them in diverse situations. Each of us is probably a bit biased towards one or the other and could benefit from seeking out the distinctive wisdom of either the French or the English style. The opposition of the two gardening styles is stark, but in truth we need integration, the Jardin à la Française and the Jardin à l'Anglaise, rational willpower and acceptance of nature. There are in fact a few places that do show the two integrated, like Sissinghurst Garden in Kent, which borrows from both traditions. This shows us the model of how an ideal individual might be, someone with a French and an English garden side to their nature, ready to call upon either faculty depending on the occasion. That would be interesting gardening and wise psychology.